had been falling over London since early morning. The streets shimmered beneath the city lights, red double-decker buses splashed through puddles, and people hurried past with umbrellas, hoping to escape the cold autumn wind. For most people, it was just another ordinary Thursday. But for Sophia Collins, 23 years old, it was a day she would never forget. Sophia lived in a cozy apartment in Notting Hill with her older sister. She had recently started working as a junior graphic designer for a small creative agency near Covent Garden. She loved coffee, photography, bookstores, and collecting old vinyl records. To everyone around her, Sophia always seemed cheerful. But deep inside, she often felt lonely. Most of her friends were busy building their own lives, and after moving to London for work, she realized how easy it was to feel invisible in a city filled with millions of people. Across the city, 24-year-old Ethan Parker was finishing another exhausting day at a software company near Canary Wharf. Ethan was intelligent, calm, and quietly ambitious. He dreamed of launching his own tech startup one day. But lately, life hadn't gone the way he had planned. That afternoon, the promotion he had worked toward for nearly 2 years had been given to someone else. His manager smiled politely. Maybe next year, Ethan, those 3 words echoed in his mind all evening. Instead of meeting friends after work, Ethan went straight home. He ordered takeout, turned off the lights in his apartment, and sat silently by the window, watching the rain slide down the glass. Sometimes disappointment isn't loud. Sometimes it simply sits beside you in silence. At exactly 7:42 p.m., Sophia rushed out of the underground station carrying a paper coffee cup in one hand and her phone in the other. She was supposed to meet her best friend, Emma, at a small cafe in Soho. Standing outside in the rain, she quickly typed a message. "I'm outside. Where are you?" Without checking the number, she pressed send. A few seconds later, her phone didn't ring. Instead, another phone, several miles away, lit up. Inside his apartment, Ethan heard the notification. He looked down at his screen. A message from an unknown number. "I'm outside. Where are you?" He frowned. After a moment, he typed back. "I think you've got the wrong number." Standing under the cafe awning, Sophia felt her phone vibrate. She opened the reply. Her eyes widened. Oh no, she checked the number. 1 digit was wrong. Covering her face with embarrassment, she quickly replied, "I'm so sorry. That was meant for my friend." A few seconds later, Ethan smiled. For the first time that entire day, he replied, "No worries. I was wondering why someone was waiting for me outside a cafe." Sophia laughed quietly. "Well, if you showed up, that would have been the funniest first meeting ever." Ethan looked at the message for a moment before answering. "True, although I would have expected free coffee." Sophia smiled. "Not on the first accidental date." Ethan chuckled. The conversation lasted barely 3 minutes. Then it ended, or so they both thought. The next morning, Ethan woke up earlier than usual. As he made coffee, his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He looked at the screen. Good news, my friend finally showed up. Only 2 hours late. Ethan laughed. He couldn't remember the last time a random message had made him smile. He replied, "That's impressive. I'd have gone home after 30 minutes. Sophia answered almost instantly. "I considered it. But the cafe had really good cheesecake. Worth the wait then." Definitely, for some reason, neither of them wanted the conversation to end. Over the next few days, the messages became more frequent. At first, just a few texts. Then, entire conversations. They talked about coffee, favorite movies, music, books, the funniest things that happened during their day. Neither of them asked for a photo. Neither of them asked for social media. It felt strangely comfortable. There was no pressure to impress anyone. No filters, no pretending, just 2 strangers talking honestly. One evening, Sophia asked, "Can I ask you something?" "Sure, why did you keep replying after the wrong number?" Ethan looked at the screen for a long moment. Then he typed, "Because you made me laugh on the worst day of my year." Sophia stared at the message. She smiled softly. Then she replied, "Funny, you replied on one of the loneliest days of mine." For a moment, neither of them sent another message. Sometimes, the strongest connections begin with the simplest truths. That night, before going to sleep, Ethan saved the unknown contact. Not with a real name. He simply wrote, "Wrong number." At exactly the same time, Sophia smiled at her phone and saved his contact as the stranger. Neither of them knew it yet. But only a few streets apart, two hearts had just started writing the same love story. And fate had only just begun. 3 months passed. What had started as a single wrong text had become the most important part of Ethan and Sophia's lives. Every morning began with a simple message. "Sophia, good morning, stranger. Don't skip breakfast today." A few seconds later, Ethan, "Only if you promise not to drink 3 cups of coffee before noon." Sophia smiled every single time. It amazed her that someone she had never met remembered the smallest details about her. As autumn slowly turned into winter, their conversations became longer. Sometimes they texted until 2 or 3 in the morning. They talked about childhood memories, their biggest fears, the dreams they had never shared with anyone else. Ethan admitted that one day he wanted to build his own software company. Sophia confessed that she dreamed of opening a small art cafe where people could paint, read books, and listen to live music. One night, Ethan texted, "If your cafe ever opens, promise you'll save me the seat by the window." Sophia smiled. "Only if you're my first customer." Deal. There was one rule they had both agreed on from the beginning. No photos. No video calls. No social media. No searching for each other online. They wanted to know the person, not the profile. It had become their little promise. One Saturday afternoon, Sophia decided to visit Portobello Road Market in Notting Hill. She loved browsing through old books and vintage cameras. While looking at an antique record player, she accidentally bumped into a tall young man carrying 2 cups of coffee. "I'm so sorry." The cups nearly fell, but he caught them just in time. "No worries," the young man laughed. "You saved the coffee." Sophia smiled politely. "I'm glad." They exchanged a quick smile and walked in opposite directions. Neither of them realized the young man was Ethan. Later that evening, Sophia texted him, "You'll never believe it. I almost made someone drop his coffee today." Ethan laughed while reading the message. "Really? Some girl almost made me spill mine today." Sophia replied, "Poor guy." Ethan smiled. "Poor girl too." She looked embarrassed. Both of them laughed, completely unaware they were talking about each other. A few weeks later, another coincidence brought them close again. Sophia attended a Christmas concert near Covent Garden with her sister. At the same time, Ethan was there with his younger cousin. The square was packed with people. Christmas lights covered every building, music filled the cold evening air. For a brief moment, Sophia stood only a few feet away from Ethan while watching a street musician play the violin. She turned slightly, almost seeing his face. Just then, a crowd of tourists walked between them. When the crowd passed, they had disappeared in opposite directions. Fate smiled quietly. It wasn't time yet. Their bond kept growing stronger. One rainy night, Sophia couldn't sleep. She picked up her phone. "Are you awake?" "Within seconds. Always for you." Her heart skipped a beat. She stared at those 3 words. Then smiled. "You know, I don't even know what you look like." Ethan looked at the message for a long time. Then typed, "Maybe that's why we've become such good friends." Sophia replied, "Maybe." After a pause, she added, "Can I tell you something? Anything. I think you're becoming my favorite person." Ethan read the message 3 times. His fingers froze over the keyboard. Finally, he typed exactly what his heart had wanted to say for weeks. "I think I'm falling for you." Sophia's heart began racing. She closed her eyes, then slowly replied, "I think I already have." Neither of them slept that night. For the first time, they weren't just strangers exchanging messages. They were 2 people in love, without ever seeing each other's faces. A week later, Ethan finally sent a message that changed everything. "I think it's time we meet." Sophia smiled so widely that her sister noticed. "What happened?" Sophia laughed. "I think I'm finally going to meet someone very special." She picked up her phone. "Tomorrow?" Ethan replied instantly. "Tomorrow, 6 p.m., St. Dunstan in the East Garden. I'll be carrying a blue book." Sophia answered, "And I'll have a white rose." Neither of them could stop smiling. After months of waiting, tomorrow would finally be the day. The next evening, London was covered in soft winter lights. Sophia reached the garden 10 minutes early. She held a single white rose tightly in her hands. Her heart was beating faster than ever. At the same time, Ethan was only one street away, holding a blue book. He smiled to himself. "After all these months, I'm finally going to meet the girl who changed my life." He stepped off the sidewalk to cross the road. Suddenly, a speeding delivery van came around the corner. Its horn echoed through the street. Someone shouted, "Watch out." The blue book slipped from Ethan's hand. Everything happened in a single second. The loud horn echoed through the street. Ethan looked up. Bright headlights rushed toward him. Everything happened in a split second. A cyclist shouted, "Move." Ethan quickly stepped back. The delivery van missed him by only a few inches. His blue book fell onto the wet road, its pages scattered across the pavement. His heart pounded. A passerby helped him pick it up. "You all right, mate?" Ethan took a deep breath and nodded. "Yeah, I think so." He looked at his watch. 6:08 p.m. Oh no. He grabbed the book and ran toward St. Dunstan in the East Garden. Meanwhile, Sophia stood near the old stone fountain, holding the white rose. Every time someone walked through the gate, her heart skipped a beat. But none of them were Ethan. She looked at her phone. No message. No call. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. The winter air grew colder. People slowly left the garden. She whispered to herself. Maybe something happened, but another voice inside her asked. Or maybe he changed his mind. At 6:34 p.m., Ethan finally reached the garden. He was breathing heavily. His jacket was soaked from the rain. He looked around desperately. The garden was almost empty. Only a few tourists remained. Sophia was gone. His heart sank. He sat on a nearby bench, staring at the blue book in his hands. Inside it, he found something unexpected, a single white rose petal. It had fallen onto the bench before Sophia left. She had been there. He had simply been too late. That night, neither of them knew what to say. Hours passed in silence. Finally, Ethan sent a message. "I'm so sorry." Sophia stared at the screen. After a long pause, she replied, "Were you ever coming?" Ethan immediately answered. "Yes, I was in an accident. Well, almost. A van nearly hit me." I was delayed. Sophia wanted to believe him, but disappointment had already filled her heart. She typed, deleted it, typed again. Finally, she sent only 3 words. "I need time." Days turned into weeks. The messages stopped. Every morning, Ethan still looked at his phone. Nothing. Every evening, Sophia opened their old conversations. She smiled, then quietly put the phone away. London suddenly felt much bigger than before. 3 months later, Sophia's company selected her to design the branding for a new technology startup that had reached the finals of a national innovation competition. She walked into the exhibition hall carrying her laptop. Dozens of young entrepreneurs were setting up their booths. One display immediately caught her attention. The company logo read, Blue Horizon Technologies. The founder's name underneath, Ethan Parker. Sophia froze. Her heart started racing. At that exact moment, Ethan looked up. Their eyes met. For the first time, there were no phones, no text messages, no screens between them, only silence. Neither of them spoke for several seconds. Then Ethan smiled nervously. "So, I guess this is our first meeting." Sophia couldn't help smiling. I expected you to be holding a blue book. Ethan laughed softly. I brought it. He reached into his bag. The same blue book. Inside, the dried white rose petal was still safely tucked between the pages. I kept it, he said quietly, because it reminded me that someone actually waited for me. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. So did I. She opened her wallet. Inside was the receipt from the flower shop where she had bought the white rose. I couldn't throw it away. For the next 2 hours, they walked through London together. They talked exactly the way they had through messages. Only now, they could hear each other's laughter, see each other's smiles. Notice the little expressions they had imagined for months. It felt strangely familiar, as if they had known each other forever. They stopped on Westminster Bridge just as the sun was setting. The city glowed in shades of gold and orange. Sophia looked toward the River Thames. You know, if I had typed the right phone number that night, we probably would have never met. Ethan smiled. The best mistake either of us ever made. She laughed. I guess some wrong numbers lead to the right person. 1 year later, Sophia finally opened her dream cafe, just as she had always imagined. Books lined the walls, paintings decorated every corner. A small stage welcomed local musicians every Friday night. The table by the window remained reserved, not for customers, for Ethan. And beside the entrance hung a small framed note. It read, "Some stories don't begin with hello. Sometimes they begin with sorry, wrong number." Every customer who asked about the quote heard the same unbelievable story, a story that proved life doesn't always follow the plans we make. Sometimes, the most beautiful love stories start with one tiny mistake.